Good afternoon, Medicare Bill and any other groups that jumped on. We're so happy you're here today. It is August 5th, 2021, and I'm here with Ryan Cicchelli, and we are going to be talking about Annuities 101. For those of you that don't know Ryan, I originally met him at Eight Figure Mastermind in Vegas. It was a brief meeting there where there's so much going on, but we actually reconnected in June at one of Coach's private events at his lodge, where we actually hang out quite a bit together. And I really know about Ryan and what he does. And he is just super phenomenal at what he does. And a little side note, he owns an animal rescue facility. Him and his wife run. And it's absolutely amazing. You should jump on his Facebook sometime and check out the pictures. It's like the coolest thing ever. I keep trying to buy a white tiger off of him, but he's refusing to sell it to me. He says they're not customer friendly, but it looks so pretty in my office. I'm black and white. When you do dead laying on the floor, Ryan? Come on now. So Ryan does millions in annuities every year, and I'll let him tell you more about the story here in a minute. But like I said, I got to know him in June at the lodge, and then got to know him that much more in July. He is a wealth of knowledge that I just had to share with all my friends in the insurance business. So Ryan, take it away and tell us about yourself and what we're going to be discussing today.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, I appreciate it. Guys, if you have any problems with the sound, please let me know. Rebecca, I appreciate you having me on here. Your sound was a little off, so I want to let you know that. And I look forward to talking to you guys. So if you see me bouncing back and forth, I got two monitors here. I got one for the presentation and one to see all your pretty faces. So I see a couple of you guys on here. And yeah, so I'll go a little bit deeper into that. So I've had a wonderful opportunity of meeting Rebecca multiple times now, and we've actually got to build a pretty phenomenal relationship in just the couple months that we've been working together. And a lot of it is just I want to hit on this real quick. If you guys have opportunities to go to these events and you guys have opportunities to work with other people in the space, I do annuities really well, and I've been doing them now for 12 years. I personally consistently write over 10 figures a year. My banner year was in 2019. We did over $22 million in annuity production. And my team additionally in my office does another 4 to 5 million a year. And so we have a lot of knowledge there and a lot of expertise to give you guys and to grow in the space. But at the same time, I heard Rebecca speak at Eight Figures, and I'm like, she's talking on customer service, and she's the Medicare Wonder Woman, and she's doing all these things that myself and my team can learn from. And so we definitely hit it off there. And then meeting at Coaches, we really got to know each other a little bit more. And so the point of this is make sure that you're going to as many events as you can, or these online webinars, because the people that you get introduced to can help you grow your business tremendously. And it doesn't matter, I'm going to talk a little bit about this, but it doesn't matter what downline you have, what FMO you have, who you're with, the synergy that we can create together, working together, is extremely powerful. So I appreciate you guys being on here, and we'll dive into it quite a bit. I don't know, I'm just kind of computer illiterate. I have my IT guy in the other room actually to help me if I stumble. I'm not gonna josh you. But
honestly, that's why I love him, because I basically am too. If I have sound and mic is choppy, it's because I'm not the best at here in Timbuktu, Texas.
Yeah. So hopefully I come through clear for you guys, and I'm excited to talk a little bit about this. Let me ask you real quick, am I able to screen share, Rebecca?
Yes, you are.
All right, Ron might have to help me, but here we go. Screen one. I think we're good. And I disappeared for a minute. Bear with me.
You got it.
All right, beautiful. All right, guys. So what we're going to talk about today is the introduction to the annuity space. Bear with me one moment. I want to be able to see these chats as they come up. Good sound. That's good to know. I'm going to move this over here, make this a little bit bigger so I can see you guys talking to me. Look at this. I feel like a computer tech over here. So we're going to jump into the annuity space, and not only the annuity space, but I want to be able to break it down on a really simple level for you guys. And Rebecca, please do me the courtesy of jumping in anytime I might confuse you or someone else. And if I have a habit of getting excited and speaking a little fast. So if I start speaking fast, just throw it in the chat, call me out. I'm okay with that. And so we're not only going to talk about the annuity 101 and the basics, but we're also going to start to dive into deeper stuff. And I want you guys to understand not only what annuities are, what's out there, but the opportunity that you can give your clients and that you can give yourselves. And I think that's extremely powerful to be able to not only help people, but to help you in your career and to grow, right? And so it trips me out a little bit that I can't see my own monitor, but it's okay. I'll make this work. So you guys should be able to see, Rebecca, you can see my pretty face on the monitor right now, the other one.
So yes, we have your slideshow and then your pretty face on the side.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. So guys, just a little bit about, where I came from and what I've been doing. I've been in this industry for 12 years now. I've always specialized in annuities. My introduction was to Medicare and life. 12 years ago, I did well in that area. And as we grew in the Medicare and life, my wife actually joined my team. We started our own office. We were able to build up an amazing office. And my wife to this day is still an extremely amazing Medicare and life writer. And I transitioned pretty quickly into the annuity side. And as we were able to build our agency in annuities, and we'll talk about how we did that, but as we were able to build our agency, we realized that there was a lot of other people out there that wanted some training, some knowledge on the annuity space and how you can help these people, and not only how you can help them, but how you can increase your income tremendously. And so we've been able to speak at multiple different events. I will, oh, Jamie, I hear you. Anyways, I see Jamie Hinckley jumped on. I had to tell him I heard him. So as we, thanks, buddy. Thanks. As we jump into this, I'll do a little plug real quick. I will be speaking at SWAT. So Rebecca, I think you'll be at SWAT as well. And so we'll be speaking at SWAT on annuities and then doing a breakout. So you guys will get to go there and check that out if you have the opportunity. But we've been able to, we've been on Forbes magazines, Real Simple, Fiduciary News, which is really important to me. And we're doing that not only because of our production, guys, because of our ability and our willingness to help other people grow, to help you guys get into the space, to help you up your game in the annuity sector. And like I said before, our banner year, my banner year of personal production was 22 million. I did not do that last year. That was in 2019. I'm a pretty humble person. I will absolutely admit my faults. I definitely backtracked a little bit in 2020. I should have been pushing harder. And so this year, I'm extremely happy to tell you that I'm on track to do 30 million. I have not hit that yet, so I won't put that up there, but we're on track to do 30 million this year. And again, our team still does health and life inside. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well.
Hey, Ryan,
So
what did you do in January of this year? I heard a rumor that it was some crazy number.
Yeah, so in January, well, we're doing a lot, but in January this year, we can put our proof of production up, but I think we did close to $3 million in just January. It was a good, like 3.2 million. It was really good, a good month for us. And that was with COVID still kind of in place. We adapted, something we can get into a little more on maybe a different webinars, how we did that via Zoom, how we did that over the phone. And to give you guys just a little bit of, I want to get you guys excited about this because so many people in the annuity space do a great job in front of the customer, but I'm not picking on anybody. Sometimes annuities can be dry. Sometimes annuities aren't that fun. And so I want to get you guys excited about it. So I want to tell you this. In January, we did $3.2 million in personal revenue for that month. Hopefully no one from the IRS is on here because I had write-offs and deductions, but we brought in just under $300,000 in commission in that month. So personal production. So there's a lot of income potential in this, and we'll get in that a little bit more. And not only that, guys, it's not just about the income. We helped a lot of people. Like that 3.2 million wasn't one case. It wasn't 5 cases. It was 15 cases where we were out sitting down with folks, helping them uncover, needs in their retirement, and then how we were able to take them from where they were to a position where they are comfortable in retirement. If anyone needs it, yeah, and you can feel free. Yeah, the animal rescue, I'll address that a little bit. My wife, she is we're a big supporter of each other's goals, and it's called Cicchelli Second Chance Rescue and Exotics. If you guys check that out, we have lemurs and zebras and kangaroos, and there's 2 African servals right now in my house, which is one of them is super aggressive and the other one's nice. And we get them from all different walks of life, and we do an educational side. My wife worked very, very, very hard in the Medicare space to make a good living for herself. And when she had the opportunity to take in a lemur, Rocco was our first one. Rocco is a female. We didn't know that at the time. And Rocco was a companion of an elderly lady that didn't know that they become aggressive at the age of 2. So we got Rocco for free. And now about 115 animals later and a 25-acre rescue, I have to write this many annuities, guys, because my wife has a big spending habit. That's what it is. So, but yeah, make sure you check it out. It's a great place to be. So we're going to dive into this. And Rebecca, as you have questions, interrupt me. Feel free to interrupt me. As you guys have questions, please jump in the comment section. I'll try to answer them as I see them. But at the end of this presentation, we do have a Q&A. And so you guys will be able to, jump in on some questions that you have, because again, I get excited about annuities, as weird as that might sound. And I might start going down a rabbit hole of value. And I promise everything I'm going to bring you guys in this is value. But I also have bullet points that Rebecca had to approve prior to me getting on here to keep me on track. And so if I have to jump back to a bullet point, just know that I would love to give you guys more information in webinars to come, or seeing you in person, or whatever the case may be. So Rebecca, anything before I jump right into this?
No, I think you're good to go. I think we're excited and we want to hear how to make that kind of money while we're selling Medicare.
Yeah, and I want to be able to help you guys with that. And through here, I'm going to talk about a very unique strategy that we utilize working with agents to help agents, regardless of their upline, which is very unique. So remind me to come back to that if I forget about it towards the end. So guys, I'm going to break this down real simple. A lot of you guys might already know this, so bear with me, but this is Annuities 101. What are different types of annuities? Now, I listed 4 types of annuities that are very commonly talked about. There are more out there, okay? I'm not going to dive into all of them today, but I want to give you an understanding of what's out there that's used popularly, and then what is the most common that I'm working with. Again, there's other people out there doing amazing things. There's probably a MYGA agent making a bunch of money and a variable annuity agent making a bunch of money. My specialty and what I want to talk to you guys about is fixed index annuities. And so I will touch on each one real quick for you guys. The multi-level guarantee annuity is a MYGA. A MYGA is typically a short term. So we're talking 1 to maybe 5 years, a short-term annuity. And it is good for a bank alternative where they don't want to be in a CD, because typically a MYGA will pay a little better than a CD, but they don't want to tie their money up for 10 years either. Now, I won't go down a rabbit hole, but MYGAs are good for bank alternatives. And if you guys are licensed in life, you are able to offer these, you are able to provide these. You just have to do some additional training I use WebCE. But they're also a great tool if you're not, and I'll be very, and we won't talk about securities at all in this, but if you're not securities licensed, they're a great tool for ladder strategies. which means breaking annuities up from checking and savings, 1 year to 5 years, and then larger annuities down the line, which we'll talk about in our 3-bucket strategy. So keep that in mind. Bank alternative for CDs, and then ladder strategies, bucket number 2. Fixed annuities, they're out there still now, but they were really on the market, in the 90s. You can find, if any of you are working in annuities right now, you can find people out there with fixed annuities. I can tell you that I sit with thousands of people every year, and fixed annuities are exactly what they sound like. It is a guaranteed amount of interest per year for a number of years. And so let's just take 5 years, for example. Most of them go to like 8 years. You can get a fixed number, let's say 4%, which in today's market is a pretty good return on a guarantee, 4%. And as long as you stay in that product, you're always guaranteed that amount. Now, what I love about that is that when I get in front of them now, if I get in front of somebody with a good fixed annuity now, and they're getting 4, sometimes if you find some older ones, they're at 5%. What we're going to talk about in this, guys, is also doing the right thing for the client. Just because you get in front of somebody with a fixed annuity at 4% and they're out of surrender, always doesn't mean you should move them. 4% is very hard to guarantee. And unless you are very versed in the annuity space, sometimes it's best to leave them where they're at. And I will tell you just real quick, I worked with a sheriff in the county, and he had a 5% annuity with Symetra, and that 5% annuity he's had for many, many years. And I did not work with him because there's no way that I could guarantee him 5% year in and year out. That family has given me tremendous amounts of referrals. And so just because you don't get the sale doesn't mean that you don't get to make sales, right? Referrals are the sales after the sales by doing your job. And so I think that's really important for you guys to understand that you don't have to move everyone. And we'll talk about what a good annuity client is here in a little bit as well. Then we got fixed index annuities. Now, fixed index annuities, they're a mix between, and I won't go deep because I know the history of these annuities, but it's kind of a fixed annuity and leaning a little bit towards a variable annuity. What they allow you to do, and we're going to really dive into this, is they allow you to capitalize on the upsides of the market, not the full upsides, but on some of the upsides with no downside loss. And they also allow you to withdraw money on an annual basis. And so we'll jump into that a little bit more. Variable annuities, guys, variable annuities can be great for the right person. You have to have a license to talk about variable annuities. You have to have a license to go in and offer variable annuities. We are not going to dive into this right now. We might offer a training down the road on it. Just know that unless you have a license for variable annuities, you shouldn't give advice on them. But they are relevant. They are out there. They do have their place. And sometimes for folks, I will touch on this, sometimes for folks that aren't in them for the right reason, there are credible reasons to move them, most of them via fees. So in this one, we're going to talk about fixed index annuities specifically, and no questions yet. I must be doing something all right. So we'll jump into this. Rebecca, do you have any questions on these as we go through? Are you good? Am I doing all right breaking it down?
You're good. You're good.
All right. She had me nervous earlier. She's like, you better, I'm on you. She goes, we got a good group today. We got a lot of people who want to learn about it. She goes, if you start going over their head, I'm just going to start asking random questions. I said, that's okay. I'll try to make it work. And guys, this is all about value for you. I want to be giving you guys value. And so feel free to tell me to, shut up if I need to, if I get off tangent on this. I'm all right with that. All right. So who are good for annuities? Guys, I had someone ask me this. I was at I work with Coach Burt a lot. I don't know if you guys know Coach Burt or not. Hopefully some of you do. Yeah, there you go. I appreciate that, Zach. I'm actually flying out, a little side note here. I fly out Sunday. We're spending the day together on Monday in Nashville. And so we work together on many different levels, but I was down at Coach's Lodge with Rebecca. Actually, it's like the 3rd or 4th time we met and got to work together. But I was down at Coach's Lodge and someone asked me, who is a good annuity client? And in my head, I thought, well, almost everybody. And he goes, yeah, but who? And I was like, well, it's kind of complicated because every person has their own scenario. So it's hard for me to say 60 and older, right? So every person has their own scenario that you can work with them. In annuities, I'm going to touch on this. It's not in the slide. You can do your homework on it. There's not a huge market for it. There is annuities out there, fixed index annuities, that you can start with younger people on a smaller basis. And I'm talking like $50 a month with a $2,000 dump in, and they can start working with annuities at the age of 20. Now, let me offset that with this. If you're in the 20s and 30s and 40s, there's also products out there like IULs that could be a better fit for someone than an annuity. So I love annuities. I know annuities, but when I work with folks in their 30s that are making good money, I never go to an annuity product. I always almost go to an IUL because the back end value is just so powerful. And so understanding, what you're selling to who, or what you're offering to who, is very, very important. But I do start to work with a lot of people at the age of 40 to 50. Now we have 100 different ways we get in front of people. But I start to work with them. And in this group, I start to work with people by going to HR departments. Myself, some of my team, and my personal assistant will go to local HR departments. They'll say, hey, Ryan specializes in safe investing. And if you have any questions, what companies do you use for IULs? Look at that. Got you right away. So again, I have this philosophy. You guys are going to hear this in the annuities. I don't believe in working for any company. I believe in working for my client. For annuities, I utilize Equitrust and Silac a lot. I don't work for them. I don't write them if I don't have to. I'm always trying to fit. Always trying to fit a round peg in a round hole. So if a client needs Nationwide, we give them Nationwide, not Equitrust, because that's what they need, right? So I will tell you that North American is a great company. They're very challenging to work with. So you guys have to understand that they're not an agent-friendly company. And they have amazing rates, but it's very hard to get with them. You have to go through your upline. And for some of you guys, you might know that. Another great company that we utilize all the time is actually Nationwide. And then we work with Principal as well, is a great company, and Protective. And so there's a lot of companies out there. I will tell you that if you're writing IULs or annuities, always make sure you realize the strength of the company and the faulties of the company, because I will be the first one to tell you that North American is a hard company for me to work with, but we offer them a lot because their illustrations are phenomenal. And I'm not selling them. I'm just telling you in my experience, right? I'm in Michigan, so you guys know. So in other states, sometimes other products are more competitive as well. And so I'm going to get back on track here, though, and I appreciate the question. So when I'm working with 40 to 50-year-olds, we're going around to these HR departments and we're just saying, hey, Ryan works with specializes in annuities, and he would love to talk to you. Now, I want to give you guys a really solid nugget. I promise you that if you just listen to this, it's worth everything else. In 2020, they passed something called the Securities Act. And so it's one of the things, I'm not going to get into politics, but Trump passed it right before he got out of office. And one of those things say that at employers, if you are a big facility, you now have to offer an annuity option. You guys need to run with that, because before it was 403Bs, 401Ks, they have to show an income option. And Prudential has ran with that, and they are writing annuities with big HR departments all over the world because they're set up in a really good space where they're already working with 401Ks and they're already working with annuities. Now, I'm going to digress very quickly because I could go on a 2-hour tangent on that. But in this, the 40 to 50-year-olds, what we want to be talking to them about is pension-styled retirement. It is a great thing to have, and you're able to. I'm one that talks to clients if they're in their early 40s that Social Security probably will be there, but it is not guaranteed. There's nothing guaranteed that it's going to be there. And so if you have the opportunity to invest above and beyond either a 401k or a 403b, then getting an indexed annuity with an income rider could be very valuable for you in the long run. So I'm just going to give you a quick example. I'm working with a 43-year-old right now. We put $300,000 into a nationwide product. He's 43. He plans to withdraw money at 62. The guaranteed illustration, and I'll try not to lose you, is $29,000 a year. He's guaranteed for the rest of his life after 62. The one after guaranteed that shows a decent rate of return, a moderate rate of return, gives him $70,000 guaranteed at 62 until he passes. If we do the math on that, it's absolutely phenomenal for him to get in right now and start to build that out. So 40 to 50 years old, it's pension styled retirement. 50 to 60 years old, this is going to be pension styled retirement. But as you get closer to 60, there's things called income riders, which we'll do a separate webinar on. The income riders typically are not as strong. Shout out to the mitten. There you go. Michigan. That's what's up, Tracy. Thanks for that. When you get older, they're not quite as strong as when you're younger. So then we're also leaning into safety of principle. Safety of principle is exactly what it sounds like, guys. I worked really hard for my money. I don't want to lose my money. I want to make sure that this is left to 60 and above my grandchildren. Transfer of wealth, right? Secure Act mentioned. Thank you. And so transfer of wealth. And so that is very simple. Annuities, guys, are insurance products. All right. That's very important. So the benefit of that is when your client passes away, let's say I have Mrs. Jones, and Mrs. Jones passes away and her beneficiaries are her 3 grandkids. With annuities, because they're a life insurance product, they avoid probate. You know how many clients I get just on the fact that they don't have to deal with probate? It's absolutely phenomenal. They don't have to deal with will and trust attorneys. Now, wills are great and trusts are great, but refer them to an attorney. Don't give them advice on that. But so one of the big selling points, it avoids probate. You can do wealth transfer. You can save this money for your kids and grandkids, and you don't have to worry about losing any of it. And then safety of principle. So kind of the same thing there. We don't have to worry about the volatility of the market. We only have to worry about what we're going to make. So moving on here a little bit. So this is, again, I'm going to talk about this, but working versus retirement. This is a great thing that you can talk to your clients about. A lot of people don't know how to break this down. And this is just the way that I've personally broke it down. And so I encourage you to utilize this. During your working years, you are in your accumulation stage. Accumulations means exactly what it sounds like. Oh, someone coughed. Sorry. Caught me off guard. Accumulations.
I am so sorry. I unmuted.
You're good. She threw me off. Accumulation means exactly what it sounds like. So you're accumulating for retirement. That means your employer's contributing, you're contributing, and the market's working with you. During your working years, if the market goes down, it's not the end of the world because you're still contributing and your employer is still contributing. That's really important. That's your accumulation model. As you move into retirement, as we start working with people in retirement or gearing up for retirement, we have to start planning for that preservation stage. Preservation is, again, exactly what it sounds like. We want to preserve the money that we've made during our working years into retirement. Now, if we are fully invested into the market, and I'm going to just say a brokerage account, you are at the full volatility of that market. That means that you're not contributing, your employer is not contributing, and if the market goes down, you feel the full weight of that, all right? When you're in retirement, it takes you 4 to 5 times as long to make that money back. So most of my clients would rather see a 4 to 6% return every year on most of their money without the ups and downs in the roller coaster in the market. Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be in the market, but there's something we're going to talk about called the rule of 100 that I've utilized and that my team utilizes to kind of break down how that works. So I've been doing this now. I'll let you guys do the math on this. I'm 31. I'm going to be 32 here in October. I am young to be doing massive amounts of investments. But when I started 12 years ago, I was even younger, right? And so I had to be one of the smartest people in my space and know what I'm talking about to make sales to the people that I was in front of. So they had confidence in this young investment specialist, this young annuity specialist, that I was going to take care of them at 19 and 20 years old. And the way that I did that is I went back and we studied what the market was doing. We studied situations in the market. We studied downturns in the market. I'm going to give you guys another gold nugget here. If anyone's out there not doing, or that's doing annuities right now and they're not on this, they're crazy. So the book Unshakable by Tony Robbins, if you guys want to get in this space, that book, they talk a lot about index mutual funds, which are different than what we're talking about. But that book gives you so much knowledge in this space. It's phenomenal. And I'm not selling Tony Robbins. I'm just telling you that's a book that impacted me and helped my career catapult. All right. So what I went back and did, I studied this, and in the book, they talk about it as well. I studied what the market did. Now I'm going to give you a little history buff here. The market started in May 17th, 1792, long time ago, right? We studied what it did all the way through. And this is what we know. There's three things that we know about the market. Number one, the market will always continue to grow. Now, the market grows over hundreds and hundreds of years. And so what you and I see is the roller coaster effect. What you and I see is the ups and the downs. These companies that have been out there, these index annuity companies or annuity companies, have been around a very long time. They've mastered the game. We have not, right? The second thing that we know about the market and that we can talk openly with a client about, or that I talk openly with a client about, is every year we expect a correction. Now, a correction is not a downturn. A correction is just simply a correction. Maybe it's a little elevated, it comes back down. Maybe there's a dip in a month. And we know just from studying, and these aren't my thoughts, these are facts that you can look up, is that typically the correction will come in the fourth quarter of the year. Not always the case. I'm just telling you what I've learned. Then the third thing that we know is every 7 to 10 years, there is a downturn within the market. There is a kind of a reset point for everything. And so let's talk about a couple of those. 2008, 2009, big hit. Even if you're young in this space, you remember that, right? I remember my parents going through 2008. I remember my dad losing part of his retirement, 30% of it, if I recall right. Another one was 2000 and 2001. And that was a decent hit. And then we have Black Monday after that, October of 1987. And so what I'm getting at is every 7 to 10 years, we have these downturns. And so when you're in retirement, guys, you want peace of mind of not worrying about the downturns in the space. And so another thing that I'll touch on real quick is that we are in right now, I'm not going to go down this path of current market conditions, but right now we are in a very volatile time. And I'm going to leave it at that. But I can tell you that from 2009, we have been on a bull run of the market. We've been continuing to grow. And in October of 2019, we actually hit the longest stretch of a bull run in US history. That's crazy, guys. So what that tells me as someone that works with annuities and that works with folks in retirement is that I need to get out there and at least educate the people that I work with, the seniors in retirement, or people. I really specialize in that 55 to 65, where they're getting ready to retire from their employer, to talk about, let's save what you've accumulated for yourself. Let's preserve everything that you've worked really hard for. And so it's just kind of a really good lead in. Knowledge is power, guys, but knowledge is useless unless you execute on it. And so taking this information that I'm giving you and utilizing it with your clients, I promise you, is not only going to put them in a better place, but it's, without trying to exaggerate, it will make you $1 million. So this is an index. Rebecca, how am I doing? Any questions?
No questions in the chat. You're good.
I have a question in the chat.
I said no questions in the chat. You're good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay. So this is a graph that we utilize. This is something that we pulled off because I like this graph because it's true to the market from what it did to 1998 to 2018. The red line is going to dictate the S&P 500. We're starting with $100,000. And then this is a really long run, guys. You typically aren't going to show your clients a 20-year span. I'm using that for you guys so that way you can see what the market has done. And the green line is going to be an indexed annuity within the S&P as an allocation option. And so we can see every year the market takes off, it starts doing well. Your annuity is growing a little bit, but it's not growing as fast as the market's growing. But in 2000 or mid 99 to 2000, it starts to come down. And then there's that first dip I talked about from 2000 to 2002 where the market came down, and your indexed annuity typically will just level off. Now, some annuities, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, do have guarantees. But what I tell my clients is when that market comes down, you don't worry about losing any money. If you don't make anything, you're already miles ahead of friends and family or people fully in the market. Now, again, guys, I'm going to say this is a great model for people in retirement. This might not be the best model for someone in their working years in their 401k. So as this continues to grow, we see mid 2002, the market starts to come back, and the red line indicates that it's growing. The market's rallying. Now, one thing that I want to point out to you in this is that every single year we lock in the gains from the year prior. So I'm going to fast forward just a little bit from 2007 to 2008. There is a massive dip. Your indexed annuities at 162,000, and the market S&P is at 146. When that market crashes, you lock in every single thing that you've made up to that point in 2007. You never lose it. So what that gives us is compounding interest. The principal that you start with, 100 grand, plus the interest you make in that year, 5%, equals your new principal, 105,000. You can never lose that after the lock-in. That's a beautiful thing about indexed annuities. And so as we go through this graph, we span 20 years. At the end of the day, the ending in 2018, where we had a little bit of dip, someone that had a full brokerage account ended at 257, and someone in an indexed annuity in this example, there's a lot of back end things happening here, but in this example are at 287. Now, some of my clients will say, well, Ryan, it's only about $20,000, $30,000 more. That's not much money. But to some of my clients, that's an entire year of income in retirement. That is a lot of money. And
hey, Ryan, I want to chime in here too, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
something, sure. Because we got so many Medicare agents on here, and we're looking at a 20-year graph, and there's a lot of you guys on here that are just 20-something years of age, and you're thinking, well, it bounced back. But if you were 65 years old in 1996 or 60 years old in 1996, and you invested then, at 2003, when you had turned 65, if you had been in a traditional S&P 500, you would actually be down $10,000 from your original investment. Can you imagine how scary that would be for somebody who is going into retirement? They don't want that volatility. Us as younger people, we can handle that volatility, but when you're pitching this to your Medicare clients or your future Medicare clients, they don't want that volatility. They don't like the idea that they could lose half their income overnight. They love the steady stair-step approach. The indexed annuity, much like the IUL that a lot of you guys are familiar with, is a safe strategy when you're talking to the senior population. You never have to fear that they're going to wake up one morning and half their retirement's going to be gone.
Yeah, and when that happens, so to push back, when I said I started 12 years ago, guys, I started in 2009. And so I was right in the mix of this, trying to work with folks. And one of the things that I can tell you is not only is it devastating for someone that is getting ready to retire, if you're working with someone that's gearing up for retirement, it might alter the course of their retirement by losing that money in the market, depending on where they were at. If they lose 20 grand, 40 grand, 60 grand, they might change and say, I'm going to work another 2 or 3 years. And it alters a lot in their universe, right? It alters a lot in their day-to-day living. And so I say this all the time. I say it to my agents, my clients, and all the news articles we've been in. Good planning is done early and often. I know that you're not going to retire today, Mr. Jones, but in 5 years, you're going to. Let's talk about what that looks like. there's nothing we have during the downturns. March of 2020, we took a huge hit. Now it came back for many different reasons, but it took a huge hit. I bet you in March, I probably had 45 calls for people that wanted to invest in an indexed annuity that we talked with, and they never end up working with us because they were fine where they were. And what happens is they remember you had this talk. And so they call you instantly. I need to save stuff. I need to save stuff. Yeah. Do the market in 2020. Absolutely. And that to me, someone in this space, it's heartbreaking to see a friend or a family member or a client not retire when they want to retire due to the market. And by doing this planning early and often, or at least letting people know what you can do, you're setting them up so they don't have to worry about this stuff. And you guys are going to get, I believe we're going to have this slide available, all these slides. Utilize what's in this, guys. I'm giving this to you for free. Utilize what we're talking about to up your annuity game. And I would be happy to help you on many different levels. So benefits of an fixed index annuity. There's a lot on this screen. I'm going to walk through each one. Some we've already talked about, and some we haven't. No risk. Guys, one thing in fixed index annuities, you're guaranteed not to lose. That's the insurance back part of it. It's absolutely amazing. I do get this question once in a while. I'm going to give you some knowledge. Client asked me, he said, Ryan, if this annuity goes, if the market crashes and 2022 is a bust, is my annuity backed? Know that annuity contracts are backed typically with carriers up to $1 million per contract. They're financially backed. And then also working with A and A+ rated companies, they have the financial backing to withstand a downturn in the market. And so in 1929, when things were going rough, insurance companies actually helped bail out some of market conditions because of that. So insurance companies are very, very strong. Again, I'm talking about A and A+ rated companies. There are, how are you getting clients? I will jump into that. It's a 2-hour webinar on its own. But I will jump into that because it is very valuable for you guys. If we start going over on time too much, Rebecca, you can kick me, tell me to shut up and move on. But I want to be delivering you guys a tremendous amount of value. And so we'll jump into that. I lost my train of thought a little bit. I apologize. So I'm just going to continue to move on so it looks like I know what I'm doing. In the second part, most contracts have a minimum guarantee. So not every contract has a minimum guarantee, but most of them do. Now I want you to understand this because I heard an annuity agent saying it wrong the other day, is that they say you're guaranteed 2%. Well, yearly or over 10 years? No, you're guaranteed 2%. I believe that's every year. Folks, make sure that you're working with someone. I coach a lot of annuity people, or your upline is a great one you can utilize. Most of these contracts, almost all these contracts, if there's a guaranteed 2%, it's over the lifetime of the contract. It's not on a year-to-year basis. And that's very important for you to talk with your clients about. When I'm working with folks, we try to have a goal of in 5 years from the time we're working with them, we average between 4 and 6%. Now there's different ways that we do that. Some of that is within allocations based on market conditions. But a lot of it has to do with maintaining a good relationship, sitting down with my clients. And if we need to make a change in allocations, we do that on an annual basis. So just like in your Medicare, doing annual reviews with your Medicare people are extremely important. Doing annual reviews with your annuity clients are extremely important. And it keeps you getting referrals over and over. I have one client, he's passed away now. He's a great client. He referred me over 30 people, and I think we did over 7 million just on his referrals over a couple of years. So referrals are a beautiful thing to get into. Guaranteed income and death benefit options. You can get guaranteed income. If you're solving for income or death benefit, you can get guaranteed death benefit. It does not come on every contract. You have to ask for it. Typically, they're riders. Riders do have cost. Riders is another webinar. I could talk on it forever.
So hold on, Ryan, on that thought, a guaranteed death benefit. So is that like adding a rider that's like a life insurance, like a straight up life insurance rider on the annuity? So, to where if they didn't get all the money out of it, then their family's going to get like the rest at death? Can you explain that a little more?
Yeah, so I will explain that a little more because the way you asked it, I have 5 answers. So in these annuity products, you absolutely get the death benefit on all of them. So sometimes I jump ahead of myself. If you put 100,000 into this product and you get a 10% bonus and you're at 110 and you pass away the next day, your clients, your beneficiaries will get 110,000. That is always guaranteed to them. The accumulation value in the product is always guaranteed as a death benefit. What you can get on income riders is you can get income until a spouse passes away, and then the family will get the remainder of what was left, or a death benefit, a guaranteed death benefit option. They have riders where some of them are called ratchet riders. Again, I'm going to try to keep this simple, where you can pay a fee of, let's say, 0.95 every year, and you're guaranteed, regardless of market conditions, to get a 5% roll up on your death benefit. Even if your accumulation value is not 5%, the death benefit will roll up every year by 5%. And so if you're solving for, I want to leave my family, so much money, and I want to make this one annuity is specifically for them, and I don't really need the life insurance. I can't qualify for the life insurance, but I got this 100,000 and it's not part of my plan. I don't want to say that. It is part of your plan. It's for your family, but it's not part of your expenses while you're living. Then you can put it in there. You can use that rider, and at the end of it, you might have 160,000, and your cash value might be at 120, and you're able to leave your family more money. So there are different options there. When we start to talk about riders, it can get a little bit tricky. And so again, we'll really dive into that moving forward. But for today, I think we should continue moving on so I don't confuse anybody. And one thing that we will talk about, Rebecca and I talked about this, is that we're gonna do some additional webinars for you guys. And it's gonna break down where you're at in your career. If you're advanced in the career and you really want to learn about riders, we'll have a webinar for that. If this is a great starter for you and you want to take the next step, we'll have a webinar for that as well. Principal, I talked about this a little bit. The principal plus the interest you make in a calendar year equals your new principal. There are no advisor fees on these products. On fixed index annuities, there are typically no advisor fees. There might be product fees, which are completely different, but no advisor fees. Most carriers are going to offer a premium bonus. SILAC right now, I do a lot of business with SILAC. They're offering 10%. Equitrust, they're offering 10%. There's companies out there that offer 5%. Americo offers 5%. Americo is a good product for folks that are a little bit older, but you can get a bonus. Now, one thing that you have to remember, guys, is that there's a vesting period on the bonus. So if you pass away in a month, you get the full bonus. If for some reason in 3 years they withdraw the money, they might lose part of that bonus. Again, another training for another time. But it is one great thing about premium bonuses is, let's say they have a surrender fee, which means, I'll break that down for you. You have a 10-year contract, you have surrender fees for 10 years, and your client finds something in year 7 that they believe is better for them, or you believe is better for them, and they have a 5% or a 4% surrender. Sometimes a carrier premium bonus will offset that, right? They'll offset the bonus so the client can move their money. And when they move their money, they actually come out with more money because of the bonus. Most carriers are going to offer built-in riders at no cost. So this is very popular. One thing that's amazing about this space, guys, is that fixed index annuities are becoming popular. Fixed index annuities are becoming sexy, as weird as that sounds, because they can offer safety and you can get growth. More banks than ever are offering fixed index annuities. And the reason for that is they're becoming competitive. They are in the best interest of the client. And so they're offering, depending on the carrier, they're offering things like terminal illness riders or nursing home or long-term care riders for no cost whatsoever. And we'll dive into that later as well. Preservation of principal, kind of the same thing as no risk. You don't have to worry about losing anything. Probate avoidance and wealth transfer, very close to the same thing. Guys, I've seen families torn apart over probate. I've seen families absolutely fight and get mad at each other. and you're welcome, Jason, get mad at each other. And probate avoidance is a very, very beautiful thing. Once Mrs. Jones passed and I work with the 4 kids, I come out and I do the paperwork with the 4 kids. Those kids get a check directly from the carrier to them. All right. Now, depending on the type of funds, there's other things we have to do there, but that one process alleviates so much burden, guys. And then joint and spouse benefits as well. So you on income products, let's say that you have an income rider, you can pay a little more in an income rider to say, I want guaranteed retirement after I retire. And then I also want a portion of guaranteed income after I pass away from my spouse. And so those are out there as well. Those are very powerful. If you are working with a couple in retirement and the husband's worried about the income for the wife when he passes. Remember this, guys, they get Social Security. The husband and the wife get Social Security. When one passes, they get to keep the higher of the two. They don't get to keep both. So how do we solve for that client to maintain the life that they had with a fixed index annuity product? And this is one of the ways you can do it. And one of the things, again, I keep giving you like a million teasers. In the next webinar, we'll drop this. I apologize, but it's just so much information that it's the way we have to do it for today. The rule of 100. All right, I love the rule of 100. This will be a little bit quick for you guys. Warren Buffett uses this. Very simple. I utilize this with every single client. We're going to talk about the rule, and then in the next slide, I'm going to show you how to implement the rule. You take your age, divide it by 100. That's how much you should have in safe money. If you're 70 years old and you have $100,000, 70% of that money, 70 grand, should be put away from non-market risk investments. All right. You cannot lose. 30% of that money you can keep in other products. Now, if you guys aren't licensed for other products, make sure you don't talk about them. Just say 30% of that money you can have in bonds, you can have in a brokerage account, you can keep in CDs or wherever you would like, or money markets. But 70% you should have stowed away and safe. What that does and why that's powerful, guys, is let's say that I have a client, I personally have a client, he's 65 years old, and we have 65% of his money in fixed index annuities for part of his plan. And then we have a percentage of his money in the market. Now, I will be very transparent with you guys. I do not carry a securities license. People that we work with carry one. And so I work specifically with fixed index annuities. And so we referred him to a gentleman that has a securities license that works with us directly. And he went out and put his money in a brokerage account. In March of 2020, that brokerage account took a nasty hit, something like 26%. His fixed index annuity took no hit. So he took a 26% hit on roughly 35% of his money. That is way better than on 100% of your money. And so I utilize this with all my clients. If I have someone that's 50% can be in the market, 50% can be in different products. Let's put 50% in a fixed index annuity, maybe with income riders, maybe with not. And we continue to utilize that. Sometimes what breaks my heart, bear with me 1 second on that. I appreciate the question. Sometimes what breaks my heart is that you'll see someone that's 70 years old and they're invested in the most aggressive strategy in the world because the market's going well. And they talk to their advisor once every other year, and their main goal is preservation of principal and wealth transfer. I'm like, boy, we have some work to do here. So there's a lot of value that you can be giving your clients, but utilizing that rule of 100 is really good for you guys. How do you respond to people that listen to personalities like Dave Ramsey on the radio that talk down about annuities? So I'll use Dave Ramsey as an example. He gets paid a lot of money by like Xander Insurance, by all these other companies to promote their products. And in line with that, he doesn't sell whole life because he sells Xander Insurance term life. He gets paid a lot of money to do that. And that's kind of what he does. It's hard. So one thing that we'll talk about is we live in an age, and I've made a tremendous amount of money doing this, where the new closing is value, right? Value is the new closing. I don't hard close people. I don't 3 close them or 7 close them. From the time that I sit down with them to the time that I'm leaving, just like I'm trying to do with you guys right now, even though this is kind of a one-way conversation, is I'm trying to provide value, right? If there's any time that I'm not providing value, it's very small. I might try to get a laugh on your face. I might get deterred a little bit. I have to get back on track. I don't want you to think I'm fumbling. So I might steer for a second, but I get right back to delivering value. If you continue to develop value with your clients, you will able to step over the Dave Ramsey's, right? Now, sometimes, let's say that you're just transitioning. I get excited about this stuff, guys. I'm going to get off a little bit, but allow me to do it for a second. Sometimes if you are working with a client and you're their Medicare specialist and you say, guys, I've taken care of you and I've worked with you and I've always been there for you. And now as I'm growing in my career, I'm starting to offer annuities. I would like to talk to you about them based on our relationship before, like, I've done well for you, right? Oh, absolutely. And I've answered your calls on the weekends and at 7 a.m. Oh, you sure have. And you're happy with me, right? Oh, we're super happy with you. Then could I know that do you contract brokers? We do contract brokers. So I know that you have investments. Can I talk to you about them? One thing that happens is that their client might be on the fence with working with you. Your client might say, well, Dave Ramsey says I should not use annuities. What you can do, guys, is you can utilize a coach like myself, or you can, one that you have example or direct access to, is you can utilize your upline. Somewhere in your upline, whether you work with the Medicare Wonder Woman or whether you work with, I don't know, Integrity, they're everywhere. There's an annuity person in that company that can help you. And so Dave Ramsey loves annuities. All right, so I'm not going to dive into that for this second. But you can utilize people that are experts in the space. So if Rebecca had 500,000 on the table and she says, you know what, guys, I'm working in annuities and I'm building up my annuity base, but if you're not comfortable with me taking it over, I got a guy named Ryan. I know she'd call me. I got a guy named Ryan. He'll come in, he'll bring me in the home, and we'll work through this together. And Ryan has the experience and the knowledge and the credibility and the tenure to come in and help you on a very high level. And so you utilize your upline or utilize the resources around you to help you grow, because you can absolutely overcome anybody that says annuities are bad. And I started in my career, annuities, they kind of had a bad taste. We actually were coining the term index linked products over annuities, because people sometimes have a distaste in their mouth, and there's another reason why, but I won't jump into all that right now. So the rule of 100, getting back on track right now, the strategy is a beautiful strategy, and it is a simple way to estimate liquidity needs. Rule of 100, 70-year-old on 100,000, 70% needs to be in somewhere safe. The other 30% you can play with. So understanding liquidity, I use a 3-bucket strategy with all of my clients. This 3-bucket strategy is exactly what it looks like. Small amount in checking and savings or money market. This is fully customizable, okay? Fully customizable. If you have a client with $1 million, tell them they should keep 50 to 100 grand in checking and savings. That's fine. I have some, I could speak against that, but tell them it's fine. If you have a client with $90,000, keep between 5 and 10,000 in checking and savings. When you guys start working in annuities, compliance is very important. Suitability is very, very important. And so I'll work with you guys. There's other people out there. Your uplines will work with you. The carriers will work with you. You can't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Not everything goes to the 3rd bucket. So let's say, just for this example, let's utilize $100,000. A little bit smaller amount of money, but I like to utilize it for you guys. We want to keep between 5 and 10,000 in checking and savings. We like to keep roughly $20,000 in either a brokerage account, MIGAs, or short-term annuities. So two aspects of this. If you have someone that can do assets under management, a brokerage account could be a good fit for the 3rd bucket. If you are only an insurance licensed person, you'll utilize something called a ladder strategy, which your upline or you might be familiar with, and you might put a MIGA or some short-term annuities in this bucket. If they need money, they can go access this in a year or 2 years. And a CD would have been another good one for the middle bucket. And so if the money starts running low in checking and savings, you go to your 1-year accounts when they renew, replenish the 1st bucket. The 3rd bucket's your safety bucket. This might be income. This might be solving for long-term care. These are our fixed index annuities. Now, one thing that I didn't talk about that I want to talk about now is there used to be a stereotype. We should have made a slide on this, Ron. I know he's on here, so I'm telling him. There used to be a stereotype that you couldn't access all of your money out of an annuity. Don't lock all your money up. Most of my clients don't need $500,000 in a given year. So if I have $10,000 in checking and saving and $30,000 in the middle bucket, they shouldn't have to access fees. I've been doing this 12 years, guys. I've never had one person pay for fees out of an indexed annuity without just like pulling the money, right? Like just pulling it out of bad advice for someone else. If we build a plan and we work together, I've never had one person pay surrender fees by accessing their money. Fixed index annuities allow you to access. North American has a product, they allow you to access 5% a year. I'm just saying these because I like to say companies so you guys get an idea. Equitrust has one where you can access 10% a year. Now, if you don't use that 10%, you do lose it, right? And so that's why sitting down, doing an annual review, do they need the money in the middle bucket? Do they need the money in the first bucket? Utilize that 10% if you need to. Silac has a new product. You're going to see this get more popular. They compound the amount of money you can take. Year one, you can't take anything. Most products are like that, guys. Year one, you can't take anything. Year two, 5% with Silac. Year three, 10. Year four, 15 and 20 and 25, capping out at 30%. So if you have a client that's 5 years into a product or 6 years into a product, and they come and they say, Ryan, I know you mentioned something about 10%, but I really need access to 20. Well, thankfully, Mr. Jones, we put you into Silac. You actually have access to 30% of your money right now. Now, once you utilize that, that process starts over. But the old adage that you're locking your money up is not true. And if you build a plan with your client and you sit down with them and you understand your client's needs and their goals, you can build a very nice plan for them that's going to achieve what they need in retirement without ever paying a surrender fee. That's extremely important. So a 3-bucket strategy, I encourage you guys to utilize it. We'll do a webinar breaking this down to a very specific case design as well. So to give you guys some understanding on that. This is my last slide. I think we're doing pretty good on time too. This is my last slide. And this is just talking about you're going to help your client, guys, but the income potential is pretty amazing. I put on here, these are not massive commissions. These are all actually cases that we wrote within the last month and that they were just on the table. So I wanted to talk to you guys about them. We wrote Equitrust Power Bonus, 250,000. There was the comp on it was 8.5%, made 21,250. Americo, the ultimate index comp on that's 9%. $8,000. That's on $8,900 or $89,000, guys. You can make $8,000. And then we did a nice big one with Silac. They just cut their comp not too long ago, but 8.5. Maybe one of you guys get higher comp than me. I don't know. But at 8.5% and on 335, we're able to make 45 grand. We did these just last month. This isn't even all of them. We did a bunch more, but this is just ones I wanted to show you guys because there's a tremendous amount of income in this. That for you guys, if you want to start reaching out. And one thing that's unique, and Rebecca and I are going to work together to bring you more value and teach you on this, is that I do work with, I told Rebecca this as well. I work with all products. I'm licensed in all 50 states. Rebecca was talking about having someone that there's a couple 100,000. I said, Rebecca, I'll come out. I'll help you close it. I'll give you half the percent. I'll bring you in the home. I'll show you how to do it. I'll teach you. I close the deal. We just split it 50-50, my percent. I don't even give you a cut rate. So that's super valuable for you guys. And we'll talk about that a little more. So.
Hey, hold on. We have a question.
Yeah.
Can a person write their own annuity? Is it like life insurance where you have to have a percentage of outside business versus in-house business, like personal business, or does that not matter with annuities?
No. So I guess I want to get into the, how do you get people? Because I know someone asked that a minute ago. You said, can you write your own annuity? Is that what you asked?
Yeah. So like hypothetically, if I wanted to put annuity on myself today, can I write it on myself, even though I don't have any other annuity business in play?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. If you call Silac, be like, hey, I'm the agent and I have 300,000 and I really want an annuity. Silac ain't gonna tell you no. They're gonna let you do it. Now
in the future though, so now I write my husband and I write my son and I write my dad. Is there ever an issue where I have not produced any like outside business? Is that ever an issue?
No, it's not an issue. What I will tell you is that we have a training pending with the state of Michigan right now on this. There's something that happens it's called the best interest contract, where you have to be doing what's absolutely in the best interest for your clients, whether it's you, your kids, your, appreciate that. Glad you got some value out of it, Tracy. Would you be typical street level? I'm definitely, I'm not street level at all, not by any means. For a new agent,
I think it's like 5 or 6 is typical street.
yeah, we actually help you guys. We'll tell you what are good and bad commission levels. But if I work with people, I don't give you street. I give you half of my percentage. But there is something called the best interest contract that I really need you guys to understand, that if you work with annuities and you're working with fixed index annuities, you really need to understand suitability and compliance. And I'll give you one that people do all the time. Work with Mr. Jones and he's got 500,000, and you go from being his insurance agent to his financial professional. That is a no-no, guys. You cannot be doing that. You're not a certified financial planner. You're not a securities licensed agent. I'm okay. I'm completely at peace with being an annuity expert. I'm an expert in annuities. And if you are looking for safe products, I can give you them. I'm not a certified financial planner, right? And so if you're going to get into this, just make sure, Rebecca, I was walking around the bush a little bit on your question, but make sure that you're doing what's in the best interest of your client, and then document it. We actually have contracts. For folks where we actually have contracts. Excuse me, I was reading, I got caught off a little bit. We have in-house contracts where you do an application. The application's 35 pages long, and then we have an additional 10 pages that we keep in-house for compliance reasons. And so just always be doing what's in the best interest of the client. You'll never have an issue. Anything over 70 to 80, absolutely. I write 70, 75 all the time. We write up to 80. I can tell you that as you get over 80, 82, 83, 84, you just have to be careful. One of the best things that I do is I always ask for a child to be there, because if I can work with the son or the daughter or the grandson that is the head of the estate, I not only build value with great grandma or grandma, I build value with the grandson that's managing the estate, that knows I'm doing what's best for that client. A company that does really well in over age 80 or over 75 to 80, 80 is kind of a big threshold, is Americo. Americo's got great products over the age of 80. And as long as your people are with it and they're sound and you're doing what's best for them. And I always, at the age of 80 and above, I always intrigue you to, or entice you to get another family member in the home. That is extremely important as well. I'm going to hit on this real quick. I'm going to answer some more questions. Oh, maybe I'm going to hit on this. I don't.
There was a question. Any book you would recommend specifically on annuities to help learn?
Yeah. So the book, there's a couple books, but again, one of the best books that I can tell you is Unshakable. Unshakable is really important. And then specifically on annuities, like directly on it, we're writing 2 of them. Like I'll have a book out soon. We have a Common Mistakes Annuity Agents Make that's coming out here within the next couple of weeks. And then we have a deeper look on annuities. We have multiple books coming out. So one off the top of my head, I don't have an answer right now. I would be happy to put something on the Medicareville page later. If I find something specifically on annuities, Unshakable is probably the best financial book I've ever read to help you use value and work with your clients. I want to jump on this real quick, and then I want to answer, how do I get clients? So what we have diving deeper, guys, we have a 5-week webinar series coming up. Ron, if you can do me a favor, or Jamie, if you can put the link in the chat so they can just click on it. We have a link set up for you guys. You can just jump right on it.
And I G'd him down on this. Excuse me for the lack of words here, but this is normally like a $500 course, guys. And I'm like, no. These are Medicare people. We don't get paid in $25,000 lump sums. We get paid $20 a month. So on average for hundreds of people. So I got him down. So this is the Wonder Woman special, guys. And Ryan has offered to do a series just for us, 5 weeks of, just building the value and everything that goes with annuities. I'm going to be on this myself. I'm a newer annuity person. I actually have downline agents that write it that know way more than I do. So I need to catch up, and Ryan's going to be my go-to guy to learn and catch up on this. So Ryan, can you explain to us exactly what each week's going to cover?
Yeah, so we're going to do an hour each week. Like this week, it might run a little bit excuse me. I get really excited talking about this stuff, guys. I want to give you value. The first week, we're going to talk about building value, but transitioning. A lot of folks have a hard time going from I'm your Medicare specialist or I'm your life insurance specialist to I'm an annuity expert. And so we're going to give you multiple transitions. We're going to help you work with your client. We're going to turn your client from just being your client into your cheerleader and wanting you to succeed in the annuity space. Week 2, we're going to dive into the process. We're going to dive into time management. This one is going to be a little in depth. You guys have done a version of this training before, I'm sure. What does your warm-up look like? How long is it? What does your fact finding look like? What are some specific questions that you can ask to get the fact finding? What are the 4 questions and getting their interest? What does the full process look like? The third week is going to be not only building a need, kind of uncovering the need and creating urgency. One thing that we can talk about right now, guys, is we're in the longest bull run stretch of the market in U.S. history, and we've been in it for a long time. And I'm not going to get into the economy state right now, and everyone has massive different opinions in that. But I will tell you that if my mother was here and my grandmother was here and they weren't already a client, because they are, but if they weren't in fixed index annuities, at least valued on the rule of 100, I would be getting them into safe products where they're not going to lose money as soon as possible. And I think there's a tremendous amount of building the need, and there's a building what week starting for the webinar. So Zach, I appreciate that. Rebecca and I are going to come up with it. It might be as soon as next Thursday. Rebecca and I have to talk. I'm doing a lot of speaking right now, and I'm not going to release too much. Rebecca is working with me quite a bit on a big project we're doing with Coach Burt, and I'm flying out to Nashville a ton right now and working with them and their team. And so we're putting together something pretty special. And so I think we talked about trying Thursdays. So it might be as early as next Thursday. There might be a week in between. And there might be a time where I'm in an airport. We're going to bang this out. I don't care who's around. And I might not be at my office, but I'm going to deliver on the value for you guys. And so we'll get that to you as soon as possible. I don't know if you guys purchase the course, I'll personally reach out to you, say thank you, and then make sure we have your email so we can put you on an email thread. And then we just started this. We have a private Facebook group where we'll talk about annuities, and Rebecca and I might jump on there live once in a while, but I'll jump on there live quite a bit. And then Coach even said if I'm with him, he'll jump on there live so you guys can get to see Coach a little bit. Week 4 is going to be understanding the statement. This is a 5-hour webinar. Understanding a statement, guys, is so critical, and it's not going to be boring. It's going to be, I'm going to tell you where to find resources. I'm going to tell you what to break down. I'm going to tell you types of products, going over surrender fees. I'm going to go over not only that, but what are they qualified or non-qualified? Are they Ross or simple? What's the difference? Why don't you mix them? We're going to break that down. You're going to leave and your mind's going to hurt for a day. And then I'll send you the PowerPoint so you can recap it afterwards. But if you're going to get in this space, you have to understand what you're talking about. This space is an amazing space and you can help a lot of people, but you got to know what you're talking about. And so we're going to give you those tools. And the last one's just going to be values the new close. We're going to be closing and follow up. How do I partner with the client? How do I educate the client? And then after I educate the client, how do I allow the client to make a decision via what we've talked about in the meeting? I don't hard close absolutely anybody. I do a lot of hypothetical scenarios of values they get if they work with me. And I do a lot of value dropping and educating. And at the end of the day, guys, I close roughly 98% of all the movable money that I'm in front of. And we another 99% or 95% of after the app submitted, getting it issued. And all I ask is at the end of the day, do you guys see value in working together? And if you do, then I just simply close. I just need your license to get this started. But it's because we're working with them through the whole process, building them up to that point where there's so much value. It's like, man, it's not if I can work with you. It's like, will you stop talking so we can do a contract? And I'm not joshing you guys. And so we're going to dive deep into this as well. And I hope to see a lot of you guys on there. I'm really excited. I want to touch on this. I know we're over on time. Someone asked me how we get clients or how we get people. And I think that's really, really important. There's so many ways. So we have we're going to do a webinar on this. Hopefully we get to do it with Rebecca there. And I think it's, let's see. Oh, it's not on this slide. I was going to say, I think there's even a slide on here. I'm going to see if it's on here. No, it's not on here. So there's one common mistakes people make in advertising. So I'm in the point of my career, 12 years into this, guys. I made a ton of mistakes, tremendous amount of mistakes with money. I spent my first year, I spent $7,000 on TV. That was such a waste of money. And so I utilize Facebook leads. I do utilize mailers and campaigns. I do ask every single person that I'm sitting in front of to give me referrals. I go to HR departments, council on agings. We go to just local places, and I'm speaking next Wednesday at something called Rise Up, and I'm just talking about safe investing, and it's at 7 a.m. with a bunch of older people. And so I'm going to get out of bed and put my smile on and be down there at 7 a.m. to have coffee with these folks. We do seminars. We do training on seminars. Seminars are a little more expensive. And one of the most important things that you guys can, we do tons of, like, everything that you're doing, I assure you we're doing. There's just a way. So what the most important thing is, when do you do it? How do you do it? Where in your career do you do it? I didn't get billboards or run commercials until I was very financially sound. And now I got 5 billboards before you get out of town. And so like, what do you expect on that money? I do something called return on investment, right? Return on investment and return on being known. And so at my billboards, I expect no money back on. It doesn't matter what I pay. I pay a decent amount for billboards every month. I only want them to know my name. I only want them to know my company. I don't ever expect them to come in my doors. I could have the biggest, most beautiful multi-million-dollar building and put insurance on the front of it, and people aren't going to come in my building. And not typically, right? They have to be looking for it. And so how do you get creative in finding those people? One of the biggest tests that we do with our agents is, if you're not hitting your numbers, have you cold called lately? I know it's not fun, guys, but my wife is doing over $500,000 a year in renewals in Medicare, and she calls between 500 and 600 people a day. And she runs a 9, 11, 1, 3, and 5 on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Mondays by cold calling. And my wife doesn't need to cold call no more. She's just so cheap that she won't pay for leads, so she continues to cold call because it doesn't cost her anything. And so at the end of the day, if you want to make more money, that phone's an ATM. We have scripts. We can help you with it. There's a lot to it. So to answer that question, every avenue you can think about doing, including the hard ones, the phoning, the door knocking, we're doing it, guys. It like, to get to $1 million in revenue, to get to 100,000 or 200,000 in revenue, when you're early in your career and you have less money, you need to take more action. It's more sweat equity. You need to work harder. And then as you build yourself good money, then you can start spending it to get leads coming in.
Another a lot of agents on here.
Oh, sorry, you broke up, Rebecca.
I saw the care one train. Now, you can't do this with the training. But if you about doing like true Medicare 101, you could do a retirement. What about 101? But you can also talk about annuities. You can talk about final expense, because it's a retirement. You don't offer any products. You don't get real sales. You keep it educational. Maybe bring a friend in. If you have some Social Security, works. Education event, just Medicare.
I'm gonna jump on there, Rebecca. You're breaking up kind of bad. I apologize on my end. I don't know if anyone else is having problems. One of the things that we'll talk about is in this, and I think that you were touching on it right here, is that we will, in that transition from your Medicare to your life to retirement, we have a very nice process, and the way that we're able to transition into that point and build value with Medicare folks to get the annuity business. There's a ton of ways to do that. I apologize. You were just on my end, you were breaking up a little bit, Rebecca. You're good. You're good. So guys, I hope you find this valuable. I hope that you guys jump in. I hope that you are able to check out our webinar series. I would love to work with you guys more and get to know each and every one of you. I get to see some of your faces on here, and I hope that I provided value. I'm glad a couple of you said very informational. If I'm not delivering value, guys, let me know. And my job is to deliver value for you guys. So I hope you guys have a great day. Rebecca, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I hope y'all can hear me. I will post this link in Medicareville. So for anybody that had to pop in and out or missed it, they can go back and watch it. I hope that this may put a new tool in your belt or maybe have you thinking of a new tool, because it is a great way to cash cow your Medicare business. You can use this money to buy Medicare leads and whatnot, because this comes in large chunks. Absolutely. Versus the small renewals. So keep that in mind. We hope everybody got something out of this, and thanks so much for coming on.
All right. Thanks so much, guys.